Teaching English as a second language in the Northwest Territories can be fascinating, disconcerting,
behind the box.
of course,
Behind the box.
oh, repetitive,
Himself.
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 He sees himself.
He sees himself.
He sees himself.
He sees himself.
Good.
rewarding,
I see.
You see yourself.
Ah, good for you.
and even mind-spinning. In a moment, we'll be looking at one particular lesson, and we'll be drawing certain general principles out of it. The lesson that I chose, believe it or not, is the rotation and revolution of the Earth. And that may seem to be an odd topic to start off discussing English as a second language. However, I firmly believe that if we're going to teach English in the schools in the territories, it would be a good idea if we taught it as well as possible. And if we're going to teach it well, I don't think the answer is simply to submerge our students in an unstructured morass of English and hope that somehow or other they'll acquire knowledge of English as a result of that submergence. Some do, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people have more difficulty than I think they should have in acquiring English with that, like that. If that's not the answer, neither, I think, is the answer going to be, the most efficient answer going to be, sort of daily injections of some concentrated thing called Tessel, inserted at intervals throughout the week. And the rest of the time you just carry on submerging in English, and Tessel becomes a specialist subject that's given only at intervals. There is a place, I think, certainly in the elementary school, maybe as we go right on up into high school for Tessel periods. But I firmly believe that the principles of teaching English as a second language have to be applied to every lesson which is taught in English. And that's the reason why I decided to go for something that is normally thought of as being part of science or social studies. The class that you will be seeing in a little while is class 7B from Grec, as nice a bunch as you could hope to find. But let's look a little bit at the topic I chose and the reasons for it. For example, why teach it at all? I mean, why teach the rotation and revolution and the rest of it? Any reason for doing it? It's probably on a syllabus, a curriculum somewhere, but is that the only reason? I think it's interesting in itself. I think youngsters have got enough of a sense of intellectual curiosity that they're going to find this interesting. I also think that it's going to be useful in itself as part of a good science or social studies curriculum. In other words, it does have its place in a curriculum apart from the fact that kids will find it entertaining. And not only in itself, but as a basis for further study. If the youngsters in 7B were to go on into grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, and so on, if they were to have a wide choice of future careers in the territories, some of those choices or careers are scientific. And some introduction to the scientific method of dealing with natural phenomena is going to be useful for them in the future. Well, if all of that is true, if this subject is interesting and useful in itself, and if it's going to be taught to young people whose first language is not English, I think there's one other question we should ask before we go any further, and that is, why not in Inuktitut? I mean, if that's the language that the youngsters speak, the language that they understand most easily, why not teach this kind of thing in the language which they will immediately understand?
Taimali emailing apat ula ululua avani una kaiva tuni una kaiva mat sakhanita avani pat panna inuit ela panna silak diwakhanga how may nang nasawa ubaloni tangin nang nasawa sakhanik avani pat tangin pani tiluguta ko sakhani avani mat.
Well, that was PC Pitsiolak of TEP, and she seemed to be doing pretty well in teaching in Inuktitut. So, if one question is why not Inuktitut, then the other half of that question is why then English? And there are several very excellent reasons why we should be teaching English in the Northwest Territories. Well, to start off with, it's a very, very practical one. No matter how good people like PC may be, there are not very many of them. There is at the moment a lack of Inuit teachers, and as far as we can see at the moment in 1980, that lack is going to continue for quite some time. We, from the South, are going to be needed and useful in the North, I think, for some years to come. So there's a very practical reason for the teaching of English. But of course it's more than just that pragmatic reason. It's a useful language in itself. English is an international medium of communication. There are times at international conferences, there's a whole wealth of literature, there's a wealth of further study. You can't get into, it's a little bit difficult to become a physicist speaking, for example, only one of the major European languages such as Czech or Italian. You've got to get into one of the major world languages if you're going to get anywhere. So there are excellent reasons for any minority group anywhere in the world being interested in learning English. And if our youngsters are going to go on right inside our own school system in Canada, it's going to be increasingly difficult to handle texts and courses of study and to acquire specialist teachers at the high school level. So I think this question it's necessary for us to ask this question of ourselves. I think we're dodging the issue if we don't. Once we do ask the question, I think the answer is yes. English is a useful subject in the Northwest Territories, and those of us who are specialists in the teaching of English as a second language, and that means all of us are not teaching in Inuktitut as a first language. Those of us who are specialists in TESOL have got a thoroughly worthwhile and rewarding job to do. Okay, enough of the speech making. It's about time now that we actually started to look at this particular lesson. The classic second language lesson is built around, first of all, the presentation of new vocabulary, which must be thoroughly understood before you proceed to deal with structures. In this case, where we're using the vocabulary and the structures to teach concepts, it's a threefold step. The vocabulary first, then the structures, and then you use those to build the concepts that you're after. This taping was done in the third period of lessons I've been teaching 7B. I did one up at the school and then another demonstration lesson that wasn't filmed. Then we came into the studio here and we started. Now I want you to notice particularly the care I'm taking, and I obviously have previously taken, to make the vocabulary as concrete as possible, even though we're dealing with somewhat abstract terms. I also want you to notice the way I've been attempting to drill structures. And the obverse of the coin is I want you to notice the difficulties we get into if I suddenly throw a new idea at the youngsters and something in the structure throws them off, or even some of the background information is lacking. In this kind of teaching, every step that you take has to be on very firm ground. And if you put your foot out and it wobbles a little bit, you've got to pull back, get that strengthened, and then move on. Now, it's going to seem to be very time-consuming, but if you don't take that care to make sure that the words mean something, then learning doesn't take place. The children, the students, learn neither the concepts that you're trying to teach at this level, nor do they learn the language that you're bathing them in, that you're throwing them at. So it is a very carefully controlled, it's a painstaking process, as you'll see, but it can be a certain amount of fun, and things can move at a fairly lively pace. Well, what we'll do now is we'll switch into the film of the actual lesson, and we'll let it proceed and then comment every now and then as a particular point becomes obvious. First, a review of some specialized vocabulary. Round. Okay. Is there any other way you could go round? Any other way you could go round? Like, that's good. How about Mimi? Do you want to go round too? Any other way you can go round? Ah, right. Okay, you sit down. Sit down for a moment. Okay. Right, are you going round? What are you doing? Tell me. Don't be shy.
I'm
going round.
Good, sit down. Now, were you going around?
Yes,
What were you doing?
I was going.
You were going around just like that, and you were going around like that. Okay. What was she doing?
She was.
Remember?
She was.
Which one?
She was rotating in one
Yes, good. Say that again.
She was rotating in one spot.
Yes. Wow. What was she doing?
She was rotating in one spot.
Okay. What were you doing?
I was revolving.
You were revolving. What was she doing?
She was revolving.
And what was she doing?
She was revolving.
And what were you doing?
I was rotating.
Yes. And what were you revolving around?
I was revolving around the table.
Further, more concrete practice. Just rotate. Just rotate. That's right. What are you doing?
I'm rotating.
Okay, now stop before you get too dizzy, because we don't have you, want to have you falling all over the place. Now, revolve. You just revolve alone. Just revolve. That's all. You're around. What are you doing now? And what do you keep going? Because if you stop, we won't have any winter this year. Keep going. And what are you revolving around? what's she revolving around?
She's revolving around the sun.
Okay, can you? I only asked you to do it for a little while. Can you rotate as you revolve? Okay, try it. Don't fall down. Wow, that's good. What are you doing? Wow, good. Both of you sit down. Okay, remember this one? What was it now? Eats and reads. Now, this is a point where we'd better start doing some structural drills. Not just a matter of vocabulary, it's a matter of getting English structure correct. And we get into this by means of these cards, aiming towards our final key structure. Incidentally, the very final one, which comes in a couple of seconds, you'll notice that I allowed a certain amount of sloppiness to get past, but nobody's perfect. Listens to the radio, types.
She listens to the radio as she types.
Everybody?
She listens to the radio as she types.
Now, who can do this one about the Earth? Rotates, revolves.
She rotates.
She? Oh, yeah, that's because it was because usually it's just an it. It?
It revolves and rotates
That's correct. But remember, I wanted like
as.
it rotates as.
It rotates as.
It
revolves.
again.
It rotates as it revolves.
It
It rotates
as it.
as it revolves.
Let's do this one first to get the pat. Let's get the nicest, easiest one of them all. Okay, he walks as he sings. Everybody.
He walks as he sings.
And another easy one. Reads, eats.
He reads as he eats.
And now the more difficult one. Rotates, revolves.
It rotates as it revolves.
Again?
It rotates as it revolves.
Rotate.
Okay. And a little more practice with another structure. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. How many claps?
3.
How many seconds? Altogether? Altogether.
15.
So we clapped 3 times in 15 seconds. Now, we clapped.
Once every 5 seconds.
Wow. Say it to me again.
We clapped every once.
Wow. We clapped once.
Every 5 seconds.
That's it. You tell me.
We clapped once every 5 seconds.
Okay. This time I would like you to stamp once. Can you stamp? Let me hear. Okay. This time I'd like you to stamp once every 3 Now seconds. You can see what we're working towards. We do these drills in order to make sure that the basic structures, which are a part of the presentation of the idea of the Earth's rotation and the revolution, are understood first of all, and possibly even mastered. Although I must say, as I look back at the tape, I see 1 or 2 instances where I stopped too soon. For example, in the pattern that goes, the Earth rotates once every 24 hours. The children, and you'll find this later on in the tape also, the children have difficulty with the position of once and every. They tend to reverse it. Now, all of this, if I can start preaching again just for a moment, all of this brings home to me the fact that although these children may be said to be fluent in English, it's at a rather functionally low level of fluency. They lack, unless they're helped, they lack the precision of vocabulary and structure that is necessary to handle this kind of work. And they also have problems in manipulating the language when the situation changes, so that it's necessary to make a corresponding change in the structure. There's a later stage also that we'll be getting to where difficulties of another nature come in. We get to the stage where the youngsters are quite happy with the idea of revolving and rotating, and then we start to say, how often does the Earth rotate? And we get something like the Earth rotates once every 6 hours, once every 8 hours, and a series of wild guesses thrown in, even though I'd made, as I thought, a fairly commendable effort to get the idea that it rotates in a day. And later again, we find a lot of confusion over the number of days in a year. Now, I think once again that reinforces what I've been saying, basically, that unless you get the basic vocabulary and structure firmly taught, the concepts, the ideas, the facts won't fit in. Now let's go back and join in everybody as they carry on rotating. And show me where it is, where Frobisher Bay is.
Here.
Anybody got a piece of gum?
No.
Oh, the one time, because I was going to stick a piece of gum on there. So can you all see it quite clearly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
That's right. There.
Okay, right there. Let's, if that's the brightest light and it's facing there, what time is it?
Morning.
Oh, well, the brightest? Noon. Okay, now, as it moves away from noon.
Night.
Not yet.
Afternoon.
Afternoon and then evening. Where's Frobisher? I've lost it.
It's over here.
Okay, is it coming right round now? Is it right?
Here.
Oh, okay, what time is it now?
Night.
Night. Okay, is it coming round now?
Morning.
Okay, and as it gets right round it, noon. Now, I'm going to show you this with all the lights off except one light, and you'll actually see how the light works, okay? Okay, we've not only got the lights out, but we've also got two more people. Were you in detention?
Huh?
Were you in detention?
Who's that? Me. I was in detention.
You were in...
Badminton.
Oh, you were playing badminton? Well, we're glad you're here. Now, we're glad you're here. Look, Mimi, just look up a moment. Okay, now look at Mimi's face. See the way the light is shining right on it? Well, look straight ahead, okay? Now look over to me just a little bit. See the way the shadows come in her face? And look at Rhoda's face. You can only see the cheek there. Okay? Just turn your head a little bit this way, Rhoda. Stop. Good, now we got her nose. And one part of her cheek. Now keep your head turning. You turn it, Rhoda. Don't get Saki to turn it. Turn it that way. Look at the light. Turn it, rotate your head. There we go. Okay. Look at me, too. I guess you can see, let me see what, about half of my face and the other half's in shadow? I'm not worried about that thing. I'm worried about this. Okay, and then as I move around, the whole thing comes. Okay, now, if we take the globe, and one of you, who was it got the tape to put on Frobisher Bay?
She did.
Rhoda did. Okay, where's Frobisher Bay? There. Okay, let's move it right round. Actually, let's stand up so we can see what's going on. Pity we didn't live in Borneo right in the middle of it. Can you see there where Frobisher is? Okay, and there's the light. Now, if the sun stood still, and it does, more or less, and if the earth stood still, never moved, then, and if the earth was like this, then always we would have sun in Frobisher Bay. All day long. All year long, just like that. But always, what country is this?
Japan.
It would always be dark in Japan. What would it be like? What would it be like over here in oh, don't move it, in India?
All dark.
All dark. In fact, Saki, bring your finger just bring your finger over here. See the way the sun, the light shines on it? the light shines on it, and then when you get behind the Earth, it goes dark because we've gone out of the light. Do the same with yours, Sheila. Bring your finger over. Light, and then, yeah, okay. Now, as the world turns, well, yeah, is the Earth standing still all the time?
No.
What's it doing?
Moves.
Rotating, yeah, it's rotating, and at the moment, we're just thinking about the rotate. Make it rotate, and wait, hang on a second. Will I get my finger in front? Okay, make it rotate slowly the other way. Well, yeah, okay, keep it going. Look at my finger. Okay. Is the light on my finger anymore? No. What's it? Okay, when it's like that.
We go to sleep.
We go to sleep, yeah. In fact, it's midnight. I hope you've been in bed for 2-3 hours already. Okay, keep rotating a little bit more. Tell me when the light first hits that little bit of tape.
This morning.
Yeah, it's just starting to be. Can you see the light just, let's do that again. Okay, look at, Sarah, you may have to get up, get right up on the table. Come on, so you can see it. Can you see? I bet you can't get right up there. Remember, come on. Because I really want you to, but don't stick your head right in the way. Okay, now, we're going to see the sun just hit that thing suddenly. Okay, move it gently. There. See? Okay, keep spinning. It's morning. Now, when is it brightest?
In the middle.
In the middle, right. Noon. Okay, keep it going. Now, you're going to be able to see when that thing suddenly loses the light. There. It's dark. And that happens all the time. Okay, sit down for a moment. I brought a little model of Saki with me. Right, now, this time it's me that's the Earth, okay? This thing here is Frobisher Bay, and this is Saki. Saki, where do you live?
Over there.
You live in Pangnirtung?
No.
Where do you live?
Frobisher Bay.
Okay, there you go. All right, now, that light's shining right on the top of your head. What time of day is it?
Noon.
Okay, now, I start to rotate. Can you hear me? Good. Yeah. I'm starting to rotate. I'm getting round. What time is it becoming? Afternoon. Tell me, clap your hands when it goes dark for him. Okay, now give me another. Stamp your feet. Wait, what time is it now?
Morning.
Night. What time of night?
Evening.
Late at midnight. Stamp your feet when the sun comes up for Saki. Look, can you see? Okay, wow, I'm getting this. Now, what time is it again?
Morning.
Right now?
Noon.
You see the way the whole thing works? It's all done by the Earth rotating. Now, you can put the lights on again, by the way, and we can just keep rolling, I think. Our audience will just have now, you've noticed that the focus of the lesson has changed somewhat. That it's a few moments ago, it stopped being so much drill, vocabulary, structure, and we actually started to develop some of the concepts that we've been dealing about. However, it is necessary every now and then to get back to review, to make sure that the structures are basically understood. Because I believe that if you don't have that firm basis of structure and vocabulary, then the teaching that you're producing is wasted. Yeah, tell me again. We clapped?
We clap once every 4 seconds.
Great. Tell me.
We clap once every 4 seconds.
Okay, now. I used the word 12 there, but just think. Where's Frobisher again? There it is, the red thing. Just think rotation. Right round, and back again. Round and round. Oh, great, I'm doing it the wrong way. Round and round and round and round and round and round and back again. Now, what about, we clapped once every 4 seconds, but the Earth rotates once every, how many?
1 hour.
1 hour?
24 hours.
Yes, the Earth rotates.
Every 24 hours.
Give me the whole thing.
The Earth rotates the Earth
rotates.
once every 24 hours.
Wow, let me hear you.
The Earth rotates every once.
Ah, the Earth rotates once every 24 hours. Okay.
The Earth rotates once every rotate.
Every how many hours?
24 hours.
Okay, you tell me.
The Earth rotating every 24 hours.
You're right. You can't hear it for you.
The Earth rotates once every 24 hours.
Okay, now what about it's revolving from summer to fall to winter to spring to summer again? Yeah, it's hot. It makes you sleepy. What about all that revolving? The Earth revolves once every what?
24 hours.
Revolving means summer.
1 year.
Yeah, how many days in a year? I had it all carefully done.
24 days.
24 hours in a day. How many days in a year? Does anybody know how many days in a year?
13.
13, oh boy.
20.
That's the way.
30.
365.
Right, so the Earth revolves
365.
once every 365 days. Can you all say that with me? The Earth revolves once every 365 days. Again. Again. The Earth revolves once every 365 days. Yeah, well, you're not going to be able to sing Christmas carols like that, but that's okay. Right. There was just one last little thing I wanted to play with. Okay. Isaki, you don't get dizzy. Stand up for me, please.
I don't get this.
Oh, you told me you did the other day. It gave you a headache.
When I had a headache.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, we'll let Saki do it first. Saki, will you please revolve? No, will you please rotate 3 times? Okay. Once now. Okay, there he goes. There's another one. Okay, and there's another one. Okay, good. How many times did you rotate? I rotated.
I rotated
3 times.
3 times.
How many times did he rotate?
He rotated 3 times.
How many times did he rotate?
He rotated 3 times.
Everybody. He
rotated 3 times.
Okay, Saki, how many rotations did you make?
I make a rotation 3.
I made 3. Okay.
Rotation.
Say it again.
What?
How many rotations did you make?
I make 3 rotations.
Wow. How many rotations did he make?
He made 3 rotations.
Okay, Mimi, you say you don't get dizzy. 6. 6. And I want them fast because time's working on. 6. 1, 2, 3. Wow. 4. Quick 5. 6. Okay. How many rotations did you make?
I made 6 rotations.
What did she say?
She made 6 rotations.
How many times did you rotate?
I rotated 6
I
times.
rotated.
I rotated 6 times.
As we were looking at the tape very intently during the editing process, there came across a number of pedagogical points I'd like to comment on, a number of linguistic points, and also a set of criticisms of the way that the teaching was done. However, I think we'll save those for the next segment of the tape. So meditate on what occurred during the past 28 minutes, and we'll be back with you with another segment at your leisure.